It's been since 2001 that Piranha Bytes is building an passionate fan base that every time that PB announces a new game, they can't wait to get their hands on their mouses and keyboards. Piranha Bytes is well known for the great trilogy of Gothic that, after the release of the first game, it was taken by John Wood in order to make Gothic 4 alongside with Spellbound, game that crashed and fucked up all the Gothic franchise. After that, John Wood went bankrupt and then bought by Nordic Games. Meanwhile, Piranha Bytes worked with Deep Silver to create a new franchise called Risen. The first chapter was nothing more than a spiritual sequel remake of the Gothic old trilogy. With Risen 2, Piranha Bytes didn't respected all the expectations of the fans that saw Risen 1 as a perfect game in all its elements, especially the combat system. Risen 2 was a commercial game that ranked down Piranha Bytes. With Risen 3, Piranha Bytes tried and succeeded to make a mix between the new style they invented with the old style of Gothic. Risen 3 is the best game of Piranha Bytes since Gothic 2 indeed. Now Piranha Bytes is working on a new concept that really interests me and all the PB fanbase. We are not talking about another low fantasy video game where the nameless hero starts with nothing in an unexplored world. For the first time we see a hero with a name and a background story. The game is called Elex or Elex, I don't know how to pronounce it. Elex or Elex is a sci-fi post-apocalyptic game. Unlike Risen 3, it has new sets of animations, so don't expect a Risen with a different topic. Yes, of course, the engine they are using is still the Risen Gothic 3 engine with probably the necessary improvements such as the DirectX 11 and the Xbox One porting. But let's talk about the game itself. As I told you, Elex is a sci-fi. But what's a sci-fi? Maybe many of you don't even know the word. Science fiction is a realistic speculation about possible future events. But in Elex, we see the sci-fi fantasy. The science fantasy is a genre where elements of science fiction or just science and fantasy coexist and combine. It's a sci-fi where elements such as sorcery is in fact a magical technology. We see this kind of sci-fi in Risen 3 indeed. The mages conduct technological experiments on their crystal magic. The reactor is the most sci-fi element in Risen 3. The scientific studies of crystal magic, the calculations of how much energy the reactor produces is a quite impressive subgenre that, all those kinds of elements really impressed me. So we must expect from Piranha Bytes these elements as a main topic of Elex. In Elex, just like in every Piranha Bytes game, we see three different factions fighting for the possession of something. In this case, is a metal called Elex, brought by a meteor that destroyed all the advanced civilizations on the planet. I don't know the names of the faction, but one of them is trying to get back to the old world by using and making experiments on the Elex metal. This faction is high-tech and they use plasma rifles and Elex-based magic. And there is a faction who stands against this technology and wants to start over with basic civilization. About the third faction, I don't know anything about it. All I know that every faction, as usual, will be different in a character design skills. Once again, the faction will be a choice of what type of warrior you prefer. If in Risen 3 we see the soul points that works just like the karma system from Fallout, in Elex we see a similar system that is based on the use of the element Elex. The more Elex you use, the more a machine you will become. If you dehumanize yourself, there will be more aggressive reactions from the people around you than in Reason 3. So basically, the theme is Reason 3, life versus death, Elex, human versus machine. As for the world, I only know that I only saw the screenshots they released. It looks like Reason 3, but suddenly you see high-tech ruins from the old civilization that look like Halo constructions or Mass Effect Prothean ruins. But the most exciting thing is that the world will be open world, just like Gothic 3 with different areas. As for the explorations, Piranha Bytes said that they will introduce a new type of exploration. We know that fantasy is based on horizontal exploration, but in Elex, PB will introduce the jetpack in order to make a vertical exploration. We see this kind of exploration in Reason 3 indeed. The parrot transformation is useful to reach higher positions that hide maybe interesting treasures, but they said that they will expand this kind of exploration since in Reason 3 was hardly useful. As for the combat system, they only said that they will not put a new style user-friendly combat system. They will not. So we have to expect something slow as usual. I don't know anything about the monsters, but I saw only a reincarnation of a dragon snapper from Gothic 2 with metal parts. This kind of a velociraptor with metal parts, rubber parts. So it was very interesting. It's very interesting. So, well, kids, it's been a pleasure, and see you next time with GMIC News.